Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women Talking Money podcast. My name is Gretchen from Magenta Financial Planning, and today I'm joined by Nicola Smith. Nicola is the owner of New Generation Virtual Assistants, specialising in providing exceptional administrative and bookkeeping support to small businesses and entrepreneurs. With over 20 years of administration experience, Nicola was previously a senior manager at a FTSE 100 company and is also a certified bookkeeper. Her passions lie in helping clients achieve their goals and in transforming their businesses, as your success is her success. Nicola's superpower is her ability to connect with clients, which has led to key achievements such as recovering £5,000 in outstanding invoices within 1 week and helping another client increase their monthly income by £8,000 to £10,000. So welcome, Nicola, and thank you for joining me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So is there anything, it sounds like, you're super busy with what you're up to. So is there anything, as well as that introduction I've given that you'd like to share with people who are listening about what it is that you do and what you're up to?
Yeah, like you said, I help small businesses with their administration, bookkeeping. I like a helping hand kind of thing. So a bit about my background. I graduated from Staffordshire University with an honours degree. And then I got my first job as an administrator for DEFRA. And then I moved to Cardiff when I was about 21. And then I got my first job in the FTSE 100 company, which we're on about. And I progressed from administrator, analyst, then to senior manager. And I helped deliver products out onto market for them to about 2 million customers. So, wow. And then what happened? My life took a turn. And I basically took a new position as a mum. So then I went back and I was part-time at the university helping students start businesses. And
Right,
then,
so quite varied then, Nicola, from all of those things.
yeah, and then I wanted then to use my expertise. He's getting a bit older now, so he's 9 now. I wanted to use my expertise and I packaged it all together to become New Generation Virtual Assistant. So I'm helping people achieve better results. They're getting more clients, the businesses, getting more revenue, just by me helping them.
And I know from experience of virtual assistants, certainly, to be able to get some of those tasks off my desk that are the ones that are really like time sucking as well, so that you can focus as a business owner on what you need to do. So having support from someone like you is amazing in that sense.
Yeah, my superpower is getting through their to-do list. Like I can focus while they're running their business, I can focus on their administration. Maybe it's contacting clients, sending emails, doing email communications, or automating emails, which takes quite a lot of time in the background. And they can
Absolutely.
focus their time on just running their business, making it succeed. And together, we're like a team, you see. We work together as a team.
Excellent. So, when you think back about all those roles, do you think this is the best of both worlds now, where you've got this, you're running your own business, but you're also helping people and managing that alongside being a mum?
Yeah, I've got that work-life balance. So I can work when I need to work and see my kid when I need to. So if he's got a play, I can go out and watch the play. Like before, if I had a job, I may miss it. And it's so important for my little one to actually, for me to be there. He would get so upset if I wasn't. So, like, you only get one life, don't you? And all these special moments you can't really miss. So having the best of both worlds is pretty amazing.
Fantastic. So you agreed to come on and talk to me today for this podcast, which is, I know it's your first podcast, and I'm going to ask and challenge you, and we're going to talk about money today. So, can you share with us maybe things you might have heard when you were growing up about money, or what you were taught about money, or even if you talked about it when you were a child with your parents?
So I think I was about 12. when I first talked about money. So my mum basically, she was so kind. She saved up money in a savings book for me, and she showed it us every year, and we'd go into the bank and get our interest updated. And my dad was so like encouraging us to, you have to work to earn money, and you make sure you save it. He was very, we've always been brought up to save. And the other thing I remember with money is when we went to Blackpool and you do the 1p machines, don't you? And so less of the saving though.
Yeah, some slot machine action
Yeah.
as well. So, I mean, it's amazing how many people say that their first memory is around that like passbook, you know, where you took it in, you got it updated, and they put it in the printer, didn't they? And they, you know, you went to a cashier and she puts it in the printer and it came up, it was updated. And nowadays things are a little bit different. You know, there is a slightly different way, you know, they've got cards and different types of children's savings, haven't they?
Yeah.
But amazing the amount of people who's connected with, you know, going and getting that passbook updated.
Yes, I loved it. Like seeing it all add up. I used to love that as a child. Even though I couldn't spend it, I was like, oh, got a bit more money.
Yeah. And what about so you said that your dad was definitely all you know about, you know, working hard and making sure you're saving. What was your, you know, first job? Did you work like as a teenager? Did you have
Oh,
to earn a little bit of pocket money, you know, to do that, to get pocket money, or did you actually have a job?
so my first job was working in a menswear like clothing department in a market stall. So I used to just basically sell the men's clothing. Um, I only got like £20 for the day. So it wasn't much. My first job, I would get £20 for the day. But this lady was so kind and she gave me the opportunity. I think I probably was 15 or 16. And yeah, she gave me the opportunity to get some experience working in the retail industry.
And being on a market stall, did that mean you had to like handle a lot of cash about that? You know, you had to, or were you involved in taking the money, or was it about showing men how to, so, you know, what bits they should wear from the, you know, buy?
I, I I had to take the money. I had to calculate because it was an old-fashioned till how much change. So if I typed it in wrong, you had to do it in your head. And yeah, it was also showing men, oh, have a look at this jumper, have a look at this shirt. This would really suit you. And also folding them in a certain way to display them, I had to master as well.
Yeah, interesting though that, you know, especially I interviewed someone else who said about their first job being on a market stall, and that definitely is like major cash related. You know, there was, you know, instantly I knew that there would have had to have been a lot of, you know, till work, you know, cash, sorting out the change, you know, so becoming really familiar with like that type of thing, which I think nowadays really, you know, even if you're working a shop, you're not doing that as much anymore.
No, yeah, it's just so different um, to now. You see that you take card. They didn't take card when I worked at the market store at all. It was always cash. So
And
it's
do you think that
completely
like
different.
the fact that you were given that task and that responsibility, you know, it's quite, yeah, you know, it's quite sort of, I guess that's quite a massive experience to kind of be taking the money, ensuring you give the right change, and that you were given that responsibility by the market stall
Yeah, and
owner.
that trust they gave me as well. It was so like important, and it grew me as a person. And obviously, then I went on to better jobs. Then I think I went on to pound stretcher then.
And so, can you look back and think that that job or the pound stretch job and those jobs you had in those really formative years taught you specific skills that you think you've taken forward?
Yeah, I saved my money when I got my wages. Even though it wasn't much, it was a lot to me because at 16, £20 was quite a lot of money. So it learnt me to save more and be responsible and make do a good job for the owner. So it is a success. So you see how much it affects them, how much effort they're putting into running their business, and you just want to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, sorry, I've had an awful cough. I have to get that cut out. 10 minutes in, that was. Hang on a second. So Nicola, do you have a budgeting system that you tend to apply now with your, personal money that you manage?
So what I do, I'm a bit of a spreadsheet geek as well. So I do a lot of spreadsheets in my job, and what I do is I put all my bills into a spreadsheet, so I know what's exactly coming out, and it goes out my account immediately. The next thing I do is I set an amount I spend each week, so it's like 150 a week. And then the rest goes in like savings, emergency fund, clothing fund, of course.
So you almost have those kind of pots that you move your money
Yeah.
into for your allocated amounts.
Yes, and they're in separate accounts. So when it moves into my savings, the best thing I can do is put it in a separate account I can't touch easily anyway, and then I won't touch it. And I think that works really well.
So quite disciplined then.
Yes, my dad's taught me well.
And do you think that that has that approach does work? Is the way has worked well for you so far, and is a good way of managing?
Yeah, I think it has, definitely, because I managed to put a deposit on my house. Yes, and we managed to save for holidays, me and my son. So I think putting it in a separate account really works for me, because as long as I can't access it, then I won't spend it.
And let me talk. This is the question that's not on your list, but a bit about that, because quite often where we come unstuck with self-employment and things is around tax. So do you also carve out like your amount that you're going to need to pay in tax when you do your accounts and stuff? Like, how do you manage that side of like your self-assessment kind of tax thing?
So I've got a Monzo account for my business, and it's got little pots you can put. So I've got a little pot for tax. So I work out 20% of the tax, even if I'm not over the threshold, the initial threshold, but I just make sure I put enough away.
Yeah.
If you go over, it doesn't matter. If you're under, then you're in a bit of trouble. So it's better to go over.
It's always nice to go over, isn't it? And then think you've got some money back at the end of it. You're like, oh, that's a nice little amount that I saved for something that I can move somewhere else.
Yeah, so yes, and then I can use it for something like holiday again.
And what about debt? How do you kind of approach debt management?
So I've never been in debt personally, but the way I've always approached it, if I can't afford it, I can't buy it at the end of the day. That's like, I don't put anything on credit except for my house. That's the only thing I have. And also, if you use a credit card, I always pay it off in full every month. So you're not getting charged interest. And that's really worked for me. I'm not in any debt. And yes.
Yeah, and I guess that's, everyone's got a mortgage. We'd consider that to be something that's like a good debt to kind of enable us to live our life and be where we want to be. But yeah, really interesting that concept of like, we talk quite often how important it is in some ways to use a credit card. You kind of build up your credit history and, build up at least a little bit of credit history, but paying it off, as you say, just so important.
Mm.
Yeah. So, can you think about something that, or maybe describe your first major purchase that you made when you'd, made your, like, when making your own money, that you can look back and think, wow, that was that was major. I managed to get to there.
So probably my first major purchase is when I moved away from home to Cardiff. I purchased a ski trip. I joined the university ski club, and we went to Val d'Isère in France. It was absolutely amazing. worth every penny. And that was my first ever big purchase.
First thing you remember going, wow, I
Yeah.
really like had to save and then really enjoyed that thing.
Yes, definitely. It was a lot of money. As you know, skiing is quite expensive.
And tell me, how come you decided to end up in Cardiff or come back to or come to Cardiff after that time in uni?
Yeah, I finished university in Stafford and I just wanted to change. So my friends were in Cardiff. I thought, oh, let's try Cardiff. And I went there with no job, brave. This is not how to do things. Brave. I stayed with my friend and I managed to then get a job at the FTSE 100 company and never looked back. I've been here since I was 21. I'm now 44. So a
I think
long
that's
time.
quite. I think that whilst we might say that's not the way to do, you might say, oh, no, don't do that. But actually, that's amazingly brave. And like, would you be, you must think like, if you hadn't done it, then you wouldn't have been in that company and you wouldn't have, gone to done all those things that we've just been talking about.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have experienced. I love Cardiff. I think it's an amazing city, and Stafford's quite a small little town, and yeah, so it's completely different. I've had amazing experience, met amazing people. Yes, so I was very brave at the time. Not so
Yeah,
good. I
absolutely.
think a bit more rational now, but
Well, with age comes caution. Okay, and I mean, and talking about that, do you think your approach to money has changed as you've gotten older?
yeah, I think like I put money towards a pension, so I never thought about that when I was probably 21. Um, when I did work at the FTSE 100 company, they did give a percentage to your pension. I was thinking, oh, that's a lot of money. And now I'm thinking, oh, I'm glad I did that because, yes, but now I'm thinking I need to like save more for my pension. So,
So maybe it's become a bit more like longer term view is how the money has changed a bit. Everything's maybe thinking a bit about longer term.
yeah, because I'm thinking, because the way things are going with cost of living, I'm not sure that we'll have enough at the moment. So it's a bit of a fear as well.
Yeah. And do you think that is your, like, because one of my questions is, what is your biggest fear with money? Do you
I
think
think
that that's it?
that's one of my biggest fears, but also my other biggest fear is my son going to be able to afford a house because the prices are going up so much for first time buyers. Is he even going to be able to get on the ladder? So that's another fear of mine.
And so not having enough, and then him not having enough, like you not having enough, and
Yes.
him not having enough.
Yeah, two fears.
Yeah. And I mean, what are you thinking? I've spoken to other parents who are also worried about that. Like, is that something then that you're building into your your saving to see whether you could help him, or like, what are your thoughts with that?
Yeah, I save for him every month. So it automatically goes out my account into his ISA. I can't touch it. And I'm hoping that a bit will help him, but the prices of that are extortionate. You'd need quite a lot of money to start off now.
Yes, it's becoming a really big problem
Mm.
with first time buyers. I don't have a magic wand for that, sadly, but I mean, hopefully there will be some kind of incentive or plan that can, be put in place that would be a lot more, help them at least to get to start that process. But it is crazy. When you think about like, I'm not sure how much your first house cost you, but I think my first house cost me 105,000, and and that was in Bridgend, and it was a 2 bed, so I did move from Cardiff to Bridgend because couldn't afford in Cardiff, but when you think about that and then think about like my, a trainee who's working for me, who's just bought his first house in Cardiff, is like over 300,000 or something. Like, it's just crazy.
Oh, it's crazy prices now. It's like I'm in Cardiff. My house cost me 170, but that was years and years
Yeah.
ago. So I wouldn't be able to afford it now.
No, no. It's a real problem area, and the running out of money is one of most people's fears. I guess the only answer to that is forecasting and planning forward a bit, and trying to, at least with your pension, as you say, maxing out, adding what you can, taking advantage of the tax relief that you can get, and knowing that that compounded makes a real difference when you do retire.
Yeah, 100%. And saving as well and investments.
Yeah, exactly. So have you ever made a financial decision that you regret?
A couple. A couple. So when I was at uni, I put myself onto a telephone bill in a shared house, which is probably the biggest mistake I did because no one would own up to the calls they made. It wasn't that we didn't have mobiles in university at my age, so all had a landline, and no one would end up owning up to the calls. And then I ended up footing the bill, so it was quite a big financial mistake, to be honest. So I learned, I learned, don't put yourself onto shared bills. So yes, and I think my other one was buying a second-hand car from my sister, and
Oh dear.
it cost me a lot of money in repairs. So within a week, the battery had died, and then the springs at the back of the suspension had failed. I was just like, oh, this is like costing me a fortune. So that was another massive mistake.
And I mean, well, I can definitely relate to shared telephone bills at that age in shared houses. That was, yes, I understand those things. I guess they all have lessons attached to them, don't they? Sort of know what you're going into, thinking about the risk involved, and yeah, your sister's car. That made me laugh.
My own
Yeah,
sister.
I know. Just not completely trusting for this secondhand vehicle, but yeah. Oh, and like at the time, how do you think you handled it?
I was getting really stressed, to be honest. Like when people wouldn't pay me the telephone bill and I had to pay for it, I hadn't got the money. My parents had to basically help me out, which I was lucky enough. With my sister, I was obviously a bit older. I did have the money, but I was like paying for things I didn't want to pay. Like I'd rather spend it on something else rather than fixing the car. So yes.
Oh, and so let's think about this. What other questions do I have? Yeah, how do you think you're finding now that you balance the desire to save, which sounds like you're doing really, really well, with enjoying some of the money that you make and enjoying life?
Yeah, I think the best way is, like I said, use separate accounts. That's the only way I can do it, like balance it. Or otherwise, I would spend it, if I'm honest. If it was all in one account, I would spend it. So if I can separate it out and not have access to it, that creates that. And then you get amazing, like if you save up, you get amazing holidays, which you can create special memories, and rather than spend it on day-to-day items.
So yeah, again, that's you seem pretty structured and set, but it's interesting that you say no, it has to be in an account that I can't really get back at very easily, or I would just spend it. So it's that disciplined approach is the only way that you can manage to get that balance.
Yeah, that's honestly, I've tried many things, but that's the best way for me.
Yeah.
It differs from different people, but having the money where I can't touch it and automatically going out, then it really works for me.
Fab. So I'm interested to know like about how you talk about money. Like are you quite open when you talk about money with like family and maybe friends, or is it something that's just kind of just no, we don't go there?
Yep. Yeah, I talk about money with my family. We're very open about it. So I've talked recently with my sister about money, and I was saying, "Oh, my car's on the way out." Not one I bought off my sister, but it's on the way out. It's quite old now, and I'm saving up for a new one, and that's my financial goal. And I want to save up for my son to get a new laptop, and she was talking about her financial goal. She's about to start a new venture in Rotherham. And so she's currently saving up because it's going to cost quite a bit to get started.
So that's nice that you've got an open enough relationship to kind of talk about those things. Because I think, you know, and openly talk about them, because I think some people maybe do a very like um almost like sanitary level kind of, you know, roughly like, oh yeah, everything's fine, but not necessarily share those goals and talk about them in a financial sense.
Yeah, we've always been very open. My dad's talk about money, importance of saving, and they we just discuss it, just make sure we're about all in good circumstances. I think
It's
that's quite
nice.
important as well. So we've got each other to support each other.
Yeah. And so often I think that, you know, you hear stories, don't you, where you kind of like, or we didn't know they had money troubles until like it had gone too far, or like, you know, you hear all that stuff. So part of what I want to do is just encourage that, like, can we be just a little bit more open? You don't need to, you know, talk about it all the time, but just at least know that you've got a good enough relationship to kind of go, you know, God, if this is on my mind, or this is what's going on. And, you know, so, it's so nice to know that you've got that.
Yeah, my dad quite often regularly says, "You okay for money?" And I'm like, "I'm fine, don't worry, Dad."
Oh, that's
So
nice.
he's
Yeah.
always asking whether I'm okay. And I assume he does the same for my sister as well, but I know she is as well. And
Yeah. And maybe it's because he's always been so open about that, or always just, even if it, because that's not specific, but it's just like, just checking you're okay, you know, for money, not just okay, like using the words for money makes it that he's checking in about that financial stuff. And I think that, you know, that's really important.
yeah, I think it's really important to him that we're all okay and everyone's financially stable and we've got no money worries. And he'd be the first to help us, to be honest.
Yeah. And so do you find then that like now you're bringing up your son and, you know, you said he was 9, are you kind of approaching your conversations with him about money in the same way that your dad did, and like trying to instill, do you feel like you're following in those footsteps?
Yeah, well, he's got a Go Henry card. I don't know if
Yeah.
you heard it. And so he gets pocket money each week, and he's only basically he's allowed to spend that money on what he wants. He still hasn't grasped saving yet, but he's only 9. As soon as he gets his money, he wants to spend it, but we'll have to ingrain it a bit more.
Yeah, my nephew's 9 and or going to be 9, and my sister was saying that he, you know, she's trying to just say to him, he'll go like, "Well, I really want that now," and she's like, "Well, maybe if you just save for a bit longer, then you could get the, you know, it'll come out and it'll be like the latest updated version of like X Y Z, you know, like just wait for a little bit longer." But it's like that. The modern way is this instant gratification so much that I imagine that's more of a battle than maybe our parents had.
I think so, 100%. He's just, as soon as the money really hits his account, he's like, "Oh, I want to spend it." I'm like, "Yes, let's
But
wait a
because
bit."
we're so used to, you know, like video, like with even with their TV and stuff, then their next program will be on straight away, when we used to have to wait and things like that. So that modern kind of thing is that you just get everything straight away, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like we didn't have these things like you've got Roblox tokens. Nintendo games. We didn't have all this. Like,
We'd just be looking in the Argos catalogue at the end of the year, wouldn't we?
yeah, definitely the Argos. I remember cutting the Argos catalogue out.
Yeah, exactly. It has completely changed, So you did mention earlier some financial goals. So you talked about, the car and then something for your son, didn't you? Said
Yeah. I need to buy him a laptop
laptop.
because he's getting 9 and he's going to go up to high school soon. So we want to make him IT savvy kind of
Yeah.
thing. And yeah,
So when you think about those goals, have you set yourself right? I need to save this much every month to get those goals at an end of a period, or how do you work out how you're going to get, your money for that goal that you're aiming
I
for?
am actually trying a new method.
Mm.
So on TikTok, I don't know if you've seen like these saving boxes.
Right? Yeah.
So every month I put some money in the savings box and hopefully then it'll get to the amount he requires for his laptop. So I'm trying that method. Not sure if it will work, but it's like a fun way to show him as well to save. So he's marking it off each
Yeah.
month, the 10 or the 20, and we mark it off and we put it in. And he hasn't touched it and it's still there. And hopefully then we'll get this laptop in a couple of months.
Excellent. So just so that, because I haven't seen the TikTok thing, so tell us what that is. So just in case anyone else is listening, they can have a
It's
look at
like a
it.
wooden box.
Mm-hmm.
It comes flat pack and you make it all up. And then it's got different values like £10, £5, £20. And you've got a black marker pen and you mark it off and you put the money in. And it's just maybe a fun way of doing it.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's something for me and my son to do and just make it a bit more fun about saving it. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, when can I mark them off? Have we got some more money to put in? So
I
he's keen.
see. Yeah. So it is getting him engaged with it as well, which is great.
Yeah, so it's quite popular,
Mm.
um, like with the younger generation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have to look into that afterwards, and we'll put any details about that on the link. Um, so can you think about the best financial advice you might have ever received?
Oh, just to save. Make sure you save for your future. I say it to Zach, and he does know he's got some money in his ISA for his future, and he tells people, "I've got money in my ISA for my future." He does. So yeah, it was the best advice. I managed to get a deposit together for my house, which I wouldn't have had. And now, yes, I'm financially secure. So it's amazing. So my dad has taught me the best thing ever. And to work hard was another thing. Work hard and earn your money and save.
Save what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can you think about your most joyful financial experience or memory? So something that, you look back and you go, do you know what? That was amazing. And
It's probably the deposit of my house, but also I my when my son was about 2 years old, he was really sick. He got sepsis, and
oh
he was
dear,
looked
yeah.
after by Noah's Ark. And now I donate every month to them because of how gratitude I am for them, like saving his life. So yes, I'm joyful, like in that sense as well.
Mm, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, buying a house, paying your deposit is just the best feeling
Oh,
in the
yeah.
world, knowing, especially if you've saved hard and you're moving forward with that. But I love that other one about, donating and kind of your way of showing your gratitude to Noah's Ark, for helping your son. That's really nice.
Yeah, they were amazing. All the staff they saved his life and he wouldn't be here today, to be honest. And
Mm,
yeah, I just want to give that little bit back every month now.
yeah. And so, final question, really, Nicola, is what does financial freedom mean to you, or it might feel like something to you, or you might have a specific goal that would mean that you'd achieve financial freedom. However you want to answer that.
Yeah, it's about being able to spend your money based on your goals and desires, not necessities. It's like you have only one life. You want to have a holiday when you want to. Like, basically be able to buy what you want and not have that restriction. Because majority of people, we do have that restriction. We can't buy everything we want. We can't go on holiday when we want. But to have that financial freedom would be amazing.
Yeah. So kind of mortgage free, not have, much kind of over commitment in that sense of your money, and have just more freedom around spending.
Yeah, not thinking, better not buy this month. Just be able to buy what you want whenever, and like also give to charity as much as you want and not be restricted.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, Nicola, I really enjoyed my conversation with you today. Thank you so much. Because I know, yeah, first podcast, you did amazing.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.